Well, good morning and happy Sunday. Today I want to show you a video on how easy it is to make your own sandwich bread from scratch at home, and the cost effectiveness and the health benefits and what you need to consider while you're doing it. This is a really easy recipe. I found it online. She's fantastic. I've used some of her recipes before. Make sure you check out her actual link in the recipe in the comments. I found a loaf of bread in my pantry about 3 weeks ago that I don't know how long it had been in there. Probably closer to a month and a half, something like that. And it was still edible. It didn't have any mold or anything like that. Well, I've lived in Europe for many years of my life. And, it was nothing to go to the local bakery. You had one in every neighborhood and get bread every few days because the bread would go bad. Bread is supposed to go bad. Like, there's not supposed to be all those preservatives and all of that type of stuff. So I decided I was going to try to make my own loaf. See if it was doable, and then, see if the kids would eat it, if they liked it. This recipe is family approved. It's super easy to do. It takes time in the proofing aspect of it, but it really doesn't take time in the actual effort of it. So let me walk you through how to do it. Let me walk you through the process and all of that stuff. Make sure you take a look at the actual original recipe. Credit where credit's due, right? And let me know what you think. See if this is something that you can do. I will say I got a 25-pound bag of flour from Costco for like $8. And between that, the other ingredients are the yeast. You can get the bulk yeast instead of the packets and put it in the fridge. I've been using a yeast bottle that expired in 2022, and I'm having no issues with it. So, it lasts a long time. I think this is something that, it's kind of one of those lost art things, right? But what you get back from it is so good. Now, I use a KitchenAid mixer. That's part of the reason why this makes life so much easier. You can do this straight from hand. It's going to take a little bit of upper body strength and some arm power, right? But you can do it. So let's get started. So this recipe starts out with 1 cup of water and 1 cup of milk, microwave to about 110 degrees, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and a teaspoon and a half of yeast. And you don't have to use the rapid rise yeast. You can use just the normal yeast. All that impacts is how long it needs to proof. So once that's proofed and it starts to get a little foamy, and I'm making sure that my temperature was right, then I'm also going to add in 4 tablespoons of butter, and then a teaspoon of salt and 3 cups of flour. And I just do this all in one, and I use the dough hook. It still incorporates beautifully. It makes life a lot easier and less dishes. So when it starts looking all incorporated and like that, this is a stickier dough. So it's going to still kind of cling to the sides of the bowl, especially because the bowl is not greased, but that's okay as long as you can touch it and it has a shape. So I'm just going to take the dough and put it right back into my mixing bowl. I greased it up, and then I'm going to let it sit for 1 hour. And after an hour, it has beautifully doubled, almost tripled in size. So at this point, I'm going to flour my cutting board because I don't want to have to clean my countertops because I have to do so much cleaning later. And the instructions say that you are supposed to roll this. This dough is so soft, guys. I just pulled it to the right size. Basically, I'm just pulling it out along the width and the depth of the cutting board, and then I'm going to roll it so that we can get a nice crumb when we actually bake it, because this is going to rise or proof one more time. And we can do the proofing at room temperature. It's not that big of a deal. It's just the amount of time that you have to give it. So I'm just going to roll this over, turn it so that I have a little bit more working space. I'm going to curl my edges so that it will actually fit into my bread pan. I pre-sprayed my bread pan, and it just sits in there. And I'm going to cover it with a paper towel, and we're going to let that be all on its lonesome for another probably 1 hour. And after an hour, it has doubled again, and it's rising beautifully over the sides of the container. That's exactly what we want for that typical bread loaf. I'm putting it in a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes, I think is what this one took. And I apologize for the angle on this. I just wanted you guys to really see the crumb on this bread. I've left it to sit for about 45 minutes. I could probably let it sit for
Another direction of three. In direction of three.
What direction?
We're gonna. You right?
Yeah.
Is,
You need to try to make this bread.